right now at 11:07 with 90% of the votes counted. Zohran Mamdani, he is going to win, by the way. That hasn't been in doubt for hours now. He has 1,030,300 votes. 50.4% of all votes cast for him. Cuomo, 41.6, 850,000. Curtis Sliwa, 7%. Eric Adams, 0.3%. Now, something you notice about these numbers is that Zohran Mamdani has a majority of the votes cast, and the votes that remain uncounted, mostly in places where he killed it. What this means is, it didn't matter if Curtis Sliwa dropped out of the race 2 months ago. None of that matters. Zohran Mamdani was going to beat Cuomo no matter what, which is, by the way, exactly what I said when we talked about this last time. So, all these people, including, unfortunately, the President of the United States, who urged Curtis Sliwa to drop out of the race and for people to vote for Andrew Cuomo, they did it for nothing. You were fucking cowards for nothing. You tried to guilt people into voting for this guy who killed people's this fucking pervert lib, to do what? I guess make New York 5% less shitty than it would have been otherwise. Here's another way to look at this. Why was Curtis Sliwa the GOP candidate in New York City? Because nobody else wanted to run as a Republican. Because I guess there's no point. What this signals is that, especially when you take it with these comments from Republicans nationwide urging people to not vote for the Republican candidate. What you take from this is Republicans don't really think that they should be in charge. So why would the voters give a damn about the Republican Party in these blue cities? There's no reason. You should have no. There's no point in trying to grow it. There's no point in trying to do anything political there if your default position as a Republican is, well, yeah, the libs are really the grown-ups. They're the ones who run everything. We're just here just in case one of them F's up bad enough that we can get in power briefly and be their janitors. Now, we had someone on our program a couple years back, Stefano Forte. I think he's a Queens politician, right? There are young guys in New York City who are Republicans who, perhaps the Republican Party should be looking into getting them a platform and trying to push them as candidates. Because obviously, even when you beg the libs to vote for the more moderate Democrat in a pathetic, weak showing of absolute political abdication, they don't listen. And all these think pieces that we've seen over the last couple of weeks about how it was Curtis Sliwa's fault that Mamdani was going to be elected. No, it's the fault of progressives in New York City. That's what they chose. So Bill Ackman, shut your fucking mouth. You don't know anything about politics. All the things that you said were wrong. You attacked Curtis Sliwa for absolutely no reason. It did nothing. All the things that you were scared of were going to happen are going to happen anyway. The nipple ring Italian guy can't protect you from this. You're begging for protection from reality, from the demographics of New York City. New York City ain't the New York City of 1990, like you were talking about with one of our listeners. The personnel is not the same anymore. This is happening whether you like it or not. So you got two choices if you're a conservative. And you live in New York, or you care about what happens in New York. You can either try to do what we wouldn't even do in Virginia, by the way. So this is a universal problem with the Republicans for some reason. You need to find people that you can run who have a political future, even if they're going to get squashed in the polls. You have to do that because you have to offer a vision. You have to have something that people could get behind, and that way, when one of these guys fucks up again, and they will because they're insane, instead of running back to someone like Cuomo, who racked up 1,000+ person body count and wanted to banish not only Donald Trump but all Donald Trump supporters from New York, you won't be begging them to come take the reins. You'll have somebody there who could step in and take power. Now, whether that realistically would ever happen, I don't know. But it's a lot better than just kissing the ass of people who would kill you if they had the opportunity, which is what happened. This has been, to me, almost more disappointing than what happened in Virginia, because like it was inevitable what happened here, and there was nothing you could do to change it. We could have changed the reaction to what happened in New York. They didn't have to behave this way. The president didn't have to do that. The conservative media, outside of like a few people, didn't have to cuck and turn up their ass for Andrew Cuomo like this. Good riddance to him. He lost because he lost the mandate of heaven from the libs. That doesn't make him our friend. It's just the opposite. Now he is a vanquished enemy. Banish him to the dustbin of history. I don't want to hear any more about that shit. And Fredo said something very cogent that he kind of portrayed as a hot take at the time, but I think the numbers backed him up that really it should have been Cuomo who stepped aside, because Sliwa, who still would have lost. Now, I don't have any doubt about that. We know that because Mamdani is going to win the majority of the votes, but I think Sliwa should have been the guy. That should have been the pitch the Republicans said, "Hey, look, you can't win. You're going to give a shot to our guy." That is the attitude of somebody who wants to be in charge, not someone who wants to be the junior partner. And it's not even a junior partner in a coalition, because if Cuomo got elected, he wasn't going to work with the Republicans. You might have got that from Adams, because like he had the threat of like actual legal action from the Justice Department hanging over his head, but Cuomo wasn't. So just stop being. It's not even stop being losers. Just stop thinking like losers. Just have a little bit of ambition. That's like the bare minimum for us to ask of our leaders. I want to know at the end of the day why we didn't have a real slate of candidates in Virginia, why you didn't have a real candidate in New York City, why you didn't have the backing of the New York Republican Party. What's going on with this? Why are you behaving this way? Because what this says to me is that once Trump is gone in 4 years, we're in a lot of fucking trouble, because there's not even anybody in the bullpen who wants to win the game.